A very beautiful morning to you, and today being the 16th day in the month of July, we are so grateful to be on air, and we appreciate you for joining us on Issues in the Dailies Tuesday edition on Glow 99.1 FM, transmitting live from Ichapo, Akure, the Ondo State capital. My name is Miracle Ogunde, and reading along with me,
Femi Emmanuel, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Issues in the Dailies. What we do is to look at the latest stories from the national dailies. And with me this morning, I have the Punch, the Vanguard, and the Daily Post.
I also have stories from Vanguard, Daily Post, Tribune, Premium Times, The Nation, as well as Daily Trust newspapers.
Okay, starting with the Punch, the bold headline from the Punch says Supreme Court got it wrong on local government autonomy. Who says that? We'll get details.
Okay, and starting with the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Band A woes, varsity groan over high tariffs, students lament blackouts in the Vanguard newspaper.
Minimum wage, Tinubu Labour meet Thursday, LG's demand more allocation.
And from the Daily Post newspaper comes today's headline, Constitutional Amendment were focused on state creation, please, House of Reps.
Still from the Punch, NLC opposes Abure's move to conduct LP convention.
And shifting to the Premium Times newspaper, UAE lifts a visa ban on Nigerians, FG.
Reading from the Daily Post, stand up against Nnamdi Kanu's rendition, a Jim Marco challenges Britain.
And grabbing a copy of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, 134 observer groups to monitor Edo-Ondo elections, says INEC.
Reading from the Premium Times newspaper, food crisis, federal government donates 20 trucks of rice to each state, Abuja minister.
And a look at the Nation newspaper this morning, Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL.
Kanu Emirship Tazul court restrains Ado Bayero, 4 others from acting as emirs.
And now let's look at the Daily Trust news this morning and looking at a couple of headlines. NNPP 2023 Guba candidate in Gombe dumps party.
Okay, checking the Punch again for some stories. OPS blames insecurity as food inflation hits 40.8%.
And similarly, on inflation, in the Vanguard newspaper, controversy as manufacturers reject NBS inflation figure.
Drama, a suspect requests Niger judge registrar as witnesses.
And now looking at Daily Post newspaper, hardship Southeast youth will not protest against Tinubu, says Governor Usodima.
And from the Punch, never knew I would live to be 90, Shoyinka.
Okay, and now looking at Premium Times newspaper, Nigeria inflation rate up to 34.19%.
Okay, so all these stories and more will bring your way today on the Issues in the Dailies. Please stay with us. It's good to know you're still with us on Issues in the Dailies today. Let's start with this story from the Punch. Minimum wage, Tinubu Labour meet Thursday, LG demand more allocation. President Bola Tinubu will again meet with labor leaders on Thursday to reach a consensus on a new minimum wage, just as the Association of Local Government of Nigeria demanded a new revenue formula in favor of the 774 local government areas in the country. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists after the 15th Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House, Abuja, on Monday, that Tinubu would hold a follow-up meeting with labor leaders in continuation of his consultation consultation with the stakeholders. As amendment bill to the budget would thereafter be transmitted to the National Assembly after a consensus had been reached on a new minimum wage. Last Thursday, the President and Labour leaders held a meeting, but no conclusive figure on a new minimum wage was reached, and the session was adjourned until Thursday. The tripartite committee on the new national minimum wage had submitted two separate figures to the President following a disagreement among the stakeholders. While the government team and the organized private sector proposed 62,000 naira, organized labor demanded 250,000 naira. On receiving the committee's report, the President asked for more time to have a dialogue with the relevant stakeholders to harmonize the figures before transmitting an executive bill to the National Assembly. For details of the story, you can check Punch. Minimum wage Tinubu Labour meets Thursday. LG demand more allocation.
And starting with the Daily Post newspaper here this morning, constitutional amendments were focused on state creation, please, House of Reps. Philip Agbese, the deputy spokesman of the House of Representatives, has stated that the constitutional review process focuses on state creation, state police, and other key issues. During an interview on Arise TV, Agbese lauded the deputy speaker, Benjamin Kalu, for his exceptional leadership and innovative approach to constitutional review. He noted that the Kalu-led committee has adopted a citizen-driven approach, engaging various stakeholders and soliciting input from Nigerians nationwide. Agbese noted that these efforts have not only enhanced the review process, but also fostered a sense of ownership and inclusivity among Nigerians. We consequently identified critical stakeholders in various sectors to interface with us, provide their insights, and guide us through the process. These efforts have not only enhanced the review process, but also fostered a sense of ownership and inclusivity among Nigerians. The committee has set a timeline for themselves and is aggressively working on areas of concern to Nigerians, such as state creation, state police, local government autonomy, and contradictions in local government election, and autonomy and funding for the judiciary, he said. Constitutional amendments were focused on state creation, please, House of Reps. You can get details in the Daily Post newspaper.
Moving to the Vanguard newspaper, Band A woes, varsities groan over high tariffs, students lament blackout. Universities in the country are groaning under the yoke of high tariffs thrust on them by the electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, which may see the 10 with the highest budgets suspending over 75 billion naira on electricity this year. The 10 universities have combined budget of 247.6 billion for 2024. Checks by Vanguard show that the situation has led to many universities rationing power and some being disconnected from the national grid by DISCOs over unpaid bills. The 10 public universities with the highest budget for 2024 are the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, 36.6 billion naira, the University of Calabar, 29.5 billion, Ahmadu Bello University, 29.2 billion, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, 26.3 billion, and the University of Benin, 24.2 billion. Others are the University of Ibadan, 23.4 billion, the University of Maiduguri, 22.3 billion, University of Port Harcourt, 19.6 billion, University of Lagos, 19.4 billion, Obafemi Awolowo University, 17.1 billion. However, the universities are not finding it easy to cope with high electricity tariffs, as their recent categorization into Band A without commensurate provision of electricity is putting them under severe pressure. For instance, the monthly bill given to Unilag jumped from 180 million to 300 million. The situation is same at ABU that contains with about 300 million monthly bill. At the Federal University of Technology, Akure, FUTA, the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, BADC, raised the monthly bill from 20 million to 60 million. The university is supposed to enjoy 20 hours of power supply, but hardly gets 8 hours daily. At Uniben, which recently experienced student unrest occasioned by poor power and water supply on the campus, the BEDC upped tariff from 80 million monthly to 250 million monthly. The situation is the same in universities across the country. That's serious. So you can get details from the Vanguard. Band A woes, varsities grown over high tariffs. Students lament blackout.
And now moving to Premium Times newspaper, food crisis, FG donates 20 trucks of rice to each state, Abuja, says minister. The federal government says it has donated about 20 trucks of rice to each of Nigeria's 36 states and Abuja as part of measures to cushion the country's food crisis. Information Minister Mohammed Idris disclosed days in Abuja on Monday while briefing State House reporters at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting. Each of the trucks, of course, is carrying about 1,225 kg of rice, Mr. Idris said. This is part of the measures that the government is taking in addition to so many others to ensure that the hardship being experienced by Nigerians is drastically ameliorated. The minister said the bags of rice are expected to be distributed to vulnerable Nigerians by the state government. Each of the state government has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is the first step, and the federal government will continue to support all the state governors and local governments, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is breached, he said. Food crisis, FG donates 20 trucks of rice to each state, Abuja, minister. You can read for more in the Premium Times newspaper.
From the Post, constitutional amendment, we are focused on state creation, police, House of Reps. Phillips Agbese, the deputy spokesman of the House of Representatives, has stated that the constitutional review process focuses on state creation, state police, and other key issues. During an interview on Arise TV, Agbese lauded the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kanu, for his exceptional leadership and innovation approach to constitutional review. He noted that Kalu-led committee has adopted a citizen-driven approach, engaging various stakeholders and soliciting input from Nigerians nationwide. Agbese noted that these efforts have not only enhanced the review process but also fostered a sense of ownership and inclusivity among Nigerians. He said, and I quote, "We consequently identified critical stakeholders in various sectors to interface with us, provide their insight and guide us through the process. These efforts have not only enhanced the review process but also fostered a sense of ownership, inclusivity among Nigerians. The committee has set a timeline for themselves and is aggressively working on areas of concern to Nigerians, such as state creation, state police, local government autonomy, and contradictions in local government election and autonomy and funding for the judiciary," he said. Agbese assured that the committee will keep its promise of concluding the process before 2025 December. He said, "We are trying to amend the constitution and not create further problems for the nation. We want a constitution that is as flexible as possible and would strengthen our institutions. We strongly believe that we can have a constitution that will not only unite us but will also give a sense of nationhood to our citizens," he said. For this story, you can check Daily Post. Constitutional amendment, we are focused on state creation, police, House of Representatives.
And talking about election matters in the Tribune newspaper, 134 observer groups to monitor Edo-Odo elections, says INEC. Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said 134 observer groups will be eligible to monitor the governorship elections in Edo and Ondo, slated for September and November respectively. Sam Olumeko, National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, who disclosed this in a statement, further revealed that 124 were domestic, while 10 were international observer groups. The statement reads in part, in continuation of preparations for the 2024 Edo and Ondo State governorship elections, the Commission is pleased to provide an update on the accreditation of observers for the elections. A total of 153 applications were received from interested organizations. After a review as provided by our regulations and guidelines, 134 groups, 124 domestic and 10 international met the requirements for accreditation. The classification of the organization shows that 28 are gender-based, 3 representing persons with disability, 8 are faith-based, 10 foreign, and over 100 others working in areas relevant to the functions of INEC, most of them with previous experience of election observation. 134 observer groups to monitor Edo-Ondo elections, says INEC. You can read it for more in the Tribune newspaper.
From the Vanguard, local government autonomy, NAS will legislate to ensure INEC conducts local councils election. Karimi. Chairman Senate Service Committee, Senator Sunday Karimi, APC Kogi West, has disclosed that the National Assembly would soon work on the transfer of the responsibility of the conduct of elections to the local councils from the various state electoral bodies to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Speaking with journalists in Abuja yesterday on the landmark judgment of the financial autonomy for local government areas pronounced by the Supreme Court on Thursday, Senator Karimi, who noted that the President Bola Tinubu deserves commendation on the judgment, urged Nigerians to keep faith that the National Assembly will ensure compliance by the various state governments, which also while also taking up responsibility of amending the constitution to address inherent contentious issues. The senator, who noted that the president deserves to be honored in the nation's Hall of Fame for enabling the judiciary free hand to function, which culminated in such historic adjudication, said, and I quote, "I thank Mr. President for mustering the courage to do the right thing. Since 1999, the third tier of government, literally speaking, has been non-existent. State governments treated them as appendages of the state government. No president has been able to change that. But within 1 year, however, President Tinubu has returned the local government to the owners, the masses. Local government, if well operated, will ensure a better existence for our people. And President Tinubu took due cognizance of these and courageously took the bull by the horn." According to him, the battle was not yet over, saying some state governors will fight back. President Tinubu allowed the judiciary a free hand to operate in this particular instance, irrespective of the fact that he is but a first-time president who may desire a comeback in 2027. For details of that story, you can check the Vanguard. Local government autonomy, NAS will legislate to ensure INEC conduct local councils election. Karimi.
And to oil and gas matters, in the Nation newspaper, Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL, with the riders PH refineries begin operations next month. Food cost pushes inflation rate to 34.19%. Nigeria's oil industry will join the big league in December when it becomes a net exporter of refined petroleum products. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kiari said yesterday that ahead of this, the Port Harcourt refinery will go into full operation and petrol supply from next month. According to him, the Warri and Kaduna refineries will follow suit by December. On Sunday, Alhaji Aliko Dangote said the Dangote refinery will pump petrol in commercial quantity also from next month. These are expected to bring relief to Nigerians. Kiari spoke when he appeared before the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance. He was part of the federal government's finance team that shared ideas with the lawmakers on how the executive is tackling the myriad of economic challenges. Yesterday, the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, put the June headline inflation rate at 34.19%, pushed up by the 40.87% food inflation. Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL. The Nation has details of the story.
Taking these from the Daily Post, hardship, Southeast youths will not protest against Tinubu Governor Uzodinma. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State has assured that Southeast youths will shun the intended national protest against President Bola Tinubu. Uzodinma said those behind the planned protest are enemies of Nigeria who wants to destabilize the national government. He spoke in Abakaliki, the capital of Ebonyi State, during the grand finale of the campaign for local government election by the All Progressives Congress (APC). According to Uzodinma, to the youth of Southeast, because we are on the path of growth, our enemies are trying to disorganize national government. This government is our government. The government of President Bola Tinubu is our government. So nobody from Southeast will protest. We are not aggrieved. We have hope. Whatever they say, this government is barely 1 year in office. Yes, we are aware of the hardship. We are aware things are hard. But I promise you that the president is working so hard to release money to the people, to deliver infrastructure to the people, and to release and increase food security to the people. Follow your leaders, work with your leaders. For details of this story, you can check the Daily Post newspaper. Hardship, Southeast youths will not protest against Tinubu Governor Uzodinma.
And moving to the Daily Trust newspaper, Nigerians can now travel to UAE, FG. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris has said Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates UAE have reached an agreement on the issue of visa ban. Addressing State House reporters at the Presidential Villa Abuja, the minister said that you are aware that Nigeria has been discussing with the United Arab Emirates on the issue of visa for Nigerian passport holders going to the United Arab Emirates. Today, an agreement has been reached on that, and effective from today, 15th July, Nigerian passport holders are able to obtain visas to go to the United Arab Emirates. Details of that will be provided to you later today when we put out a statement. But I can tell you that the agreement has been reached and effective from today. Nigerian passport holders intending to travel to the UAE are able to do so. Nigerians can now travel to UAE. You can read for more in the Daily Trust newspaper.
Coming from Punch newspaper, NLC opposes Abure's move to conduct a Labour Party convention. The transition committee set up by the Nigeria Labour Congress to oversee the national and state congresses of the Labour Party has described plans by the embattled national chairman of the party, Julius Abure, to hold a separate convention as disobedience to a court order. The transition committee warned members of the party not to participate in the planned congress by Abure. The chairman, subcommittee on media and publicity, Tony Akene, disclosed this in a statement made available to the Punch on Monday. The NLC has been pushing to remove Abure as the LP national chairman, declaring a convention that returned him as the party's chairman as illegal. The action had compelled the NSC Political Commission to void the new leadership and set up a transition committee, started with the task of engaging stakeholders of the party to conduct a fresh convention in 90 days. The transition committee chairman, Comrade Abdulwahid Umar, had disclosed that following the resolution of the stakeholders meeting on May the 8th, the NSC would unveil plans for the party's national convention. Reacting to the call for a fresh congress by Abure's faction, Akene said the call was illegal and in violation of the constitutional regulations of political parties in Nigeria. For details, you can check the Punch. NLC opposes Abure's move to conduct LP convention.
And from the Premium Times newspaper, after criticism, Tinubu reinstated Sabi as Hyperep coordinator. President Bola Tinubu has approved the restatement of Neni Barimi Sabi as the project coordinator of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project Hyperep. Ajuri Ngelale, Mr. Tinubu's spokesperson, disclosed this in a statement on Monday. The restatement of Mr. Sabi, a professor, came barely 24 hours after Mr. Tinubu was severely criticized for initially sacking him. The IPREB is an agency of the federal government dedicated to addressing hydrocarbon pollution in communities in Ogoni and ethnic nationality in River State. Mr. Ngelale said Mr. Tinubu decided to restate Mr. Sabi following a performance review of the IPREB project coordinator. The spokesperson said the president consequently concluded that the project coordinator is fit to discharge his functions in accordance with the regulations guiding the execution of the IPREB. By the directive of the president, the restatement of the IPREB project coordinator takes immediate effect, he added. After criticism, Tinubu restates Sabi as IPREP coordinator. You can get details in Premium Science newspaper.
From Punch, court OK's Kano Emirate law repeal, sacks Bayero others. A Kano State High Court, presided over by the Justice Amina Ali on Monday, perpetually restrained Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero from parading himself as the Emir of Kano. The court also barred the deposed emirs of Bichi, Rano, Gaya, and Karaye from parading themselves as emirs. The judge ruled in a suit filed against the 5 deposed emirs by the Kano state government. The suit followed the repeal of Kano Emirate Law 2019 on May 23, 2024, but the Kano State House of Assembly abolishing the 5 emirates created from the old Kano Emirate by ex-Governor Umar Ganduje. On May 24, 2024, Governor Abba Yusuf signed the Kano Emirate Law 2024 and reinstated the 4th Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi, as the 16th Emir of Kano. Not satisfied with the order deposing him as Emir, Bayero approached the Federal High Court, Kano, and obtained an ex parte order restraining the governor and the police from sacking him as the Emir pending the determination of his human rights application. With the granting of the ex parte order, Bayero remained at the Nasarawa Mini Palace while Sanusi occupied the Gidam Rumfa Palace in Kano. The order by the governor for the police to eject the deposed emir from the Nasarawa Mini Palace was not obeyed, as the police insisted it was bound to follow the Federal High Court order. The government then approached the court to restrain Bayero and other deposed emirs from parading themselves as emirs and sought an order asking them to vacate palaces in their respective emirates. Delivering the judgment on Monday, Justice Aliyu restrained Bayero and 4 others dethroned emirs from parading themselves as emirs of Kano, Bichi, Gaya, Rano, and Karaye. She held that the Kano Emirate Council Repeal Law 2024 was carried out by the State House of Assembly according to the law and as enshrined in Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The judge also ruled that Yusuf assenting to the law was done according to the dictates of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a long read. You can get details from Punch. Court OK's Kano Emirate Law Repeal, says Bayero, sacks Bayero, others.
And taking a look at education matters, this morning in the Daily Post newspaper, JAMB cancels aptitude test for 2024 direct entry candidates. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has announced that it has shelved the conduct of aptitude test for 2024 direct entry candidates. The board instead said that other placement criteria will be considered for direct entry admissions. JAMB announced this on Monday in a post on its official X handle. Attention 2024 DE candidates, this is to inform you that the board has shelved the conduct of aptitude tests for the year. Other placement criteria shall be considered for your admission while adequate preparation goes into the exercise ahead of next year, JAMB said. JAMB cancels aptitude test for 2024 direct entry candidate. The story is found in the Daily Post newspaper.
From Punch, OPS blames insecurity as food inflation eats 40.8%. The organized private sector OPS on Monday blamed the worsening insecurity in the country for the food inflation, which increased to 40.87% in June 2024, up from 25.25% in June 2023. Data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Monday showed that the rise in food inflation in June 2024 represented a 15.62% point increase year-on-year and a 2.55% rise month-on-month. The NBS report showed that the highest increases in food inflation food prices were recorded in millet, gari, guinea corn, yam, water yam, cocoyam, groundnut oil, palm oil, catfish, and dried fish. It stated that the hike in the cost of these commodities pushed up the country's rate of inflation during the review month. This came as the Nigerian Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as economic experts, decried the persistent insecurity across the country. They also called for massive investment in rural infrastructure, stressing that the federal government must tackle the rising food inflation to address hunger in the country. For details, you can check Punch. OPS blames insecurity as food inflation eats 40.8%.
Okay, and now taking a look at some political stories in the Nation newspaper. 7-day ultimatum, Amewule-led House bars for Barra's expenditures. The political battle between the 27 lawmakers led by Speaker Martin Amewule and Governor Similai Fubara took another twist yesterday. The legislators barred the governor from further spending money from the State Consolidated Revenue Fund. The lawmakers who reconvened for their 4th legislative sitting of the second session issued the directive after a 7-day ultimatum. Last Monday, the lawmakers mandated Fubara to represent the 2024 appropriation bill before them. But the governor insisted that Amewule and the rest of the lawmakers were no longer members of the State House of Assembly, having defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC) in December. The governor described their resolutions as a ranting of delusional folks. Yesterday, the leader of the Amewule-led House, Major Jack, referred to sections 121 and 122 of the 1999 Constitution. He said Fubara had continued to flagrantly violate the ground norm by spending from the State Consolidated Revenue Fund without an appropriation law. 7-day ultimatum, Amewule-led House bars Fubara's expenditures. You can get details in the Nation newspaper.
All right, with that story, we'll bring the first segment to a close. And after this break, we will bring in our analysts for some insight into some of the stories we have taken. Please stay with us.